Many would say it's hypocritical that you say you don't want Muslim immigrants in your country because they commit crimes, there's a security threat, and yet you hear exactly the same rhetoric about Polish immigrants in the UK from right-wing politicians and media there.
Okay, how many Poles blow themselves up in London or any other place in the world?
Ladies and gentlemen, is multiculturalism, globalism, diversity an asset to Western society or a downgrade? I'm Tall the Traveling Clad, your favorite sweet Zionist prince. You can be a sweet Zionist prince or princess just like me by getting the shirt down below in the description of thetravelingclad.com. And let's get right into this clip. Let's go. Oop.
Dominik Tarczynski, thank you for joining me on Upfront. You're an MP and an MEP-elect for Poland's Law and Justice Party, which was recently re-elected to government and which is often criticised for being anti-immigrant, anti-refugee. But actually, you're not anti-immigrant or anti-refugee. You're OK with white Christian immigrants from Ukraine. You've taken around 2 million of them in. You're just not OK, it seems, with brown Muslim refugees from the Middle East. White people fine, brown people not fine. There's a word for that, isn't there, Dominik?
Good evening. Thank you for having me. It has nothing to do with your color. It has nothing to do with the religion. I keep repeating it for last 4 or 5 years. It's all about safety and the common sense. It's not about Ukrainians who are allowed to come to Poland. It's about illegal migrants who wants to cross our borders. And if you're brown, white, yellow, or whatever, if you want to cross our border illegally, you're not allowed. We are reacting.
Well, first of all, plenty of people are coming into Europe legally as asylum seekers. You have a legal right to asylum from places like Syria. But you say it's not about religion. You said, quote, we will not receive even one Muslim because this is what we promised. You didn't say illegal immigrants. You said we will not receive even one Muslim.
It has nothing to do with the Muslim religion. It's not Islamophobia, as someone's trying to tell us. It's all about this moment and this fact that at 2015, Angela Merkel started this madness, and now this is a problem about Muslims mainly coming to Europe. I'm surprised they are not going to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, or any other rich Muslim countries. They would feel much better, isn't it?
You say Angela Merkel and her madness. I mean, Angela Merkel followed the law. The EU has law. There's a refugee convention. There's a universal declaration of human rights. The EU Advocate General, which advises the European Court of Justice, found this week that your country broke EU law in 2015 when Poland refused to share the refugee burden. So it's your country, your government, Dominik, that's undermining European values, European laws, not immigrants, not refugees, not Muslims.
No, not at all. This judgment was not about Poland only. It was about Hungary and others. And also, this judgment, this sentence, was about all countries which did not fulfill the expectations. You have to remember that the quota system, which failed, was very clear about the numbers. So even Germany and France did not receive as many as they should. For us, that was very clear. In 2015, we promised that we will never agree for the quota system, and our promises are kept. The whole migration crisis, it's a global thing. Europe is not responsible for what is happening in Syria. Poland is not responsible for what is happening in Iraq, in Syria, in other places. We never had any colonies. So if this problem is a global problem, where is Saudi Arabia? Where is Qatar? Where are the other Arab countries, rich Arab countries, which should help? They can help. Mecca is a great example. 100,000 tents used only once a year during the pilgrimage. 4 million people can take this shelter and live there for a year. They're empty. Nice, beautiful tents, air-conditioned tents, they are empty.
Well, you do realize that tiny Lebanon's taken in over 1 million Syrians. 1 in 5 of the population in Lebanon is a refugee. Turkey has more Syrian refugees than any country in the world. So Muslim majority countries, some are doing their part, some aren't. I agree with you. You also say in other interviews that this is about Christian culture. This is about Europe being Christian. Now you tell me, no, it's all about legality. I feel like you're all over the place. Are you objecting to refugees from Syria because they're not Christian or because they shouldn't be in Poland? Which one? You seem to offer different excuses at different times.
You have to apply. Polish law is very clear about it. Submit your documents, apply for a visa, get us the criminal back check, and then we're going to decide We are not forced by any law to agree for that. It's the same in America. Even if you have a visa and you're trying to enter US, you still might hear, no, you're not allowed. And there's no explanation. No one from US side, they don't have to really
Dominik,
explain it.
That might
they
make
don't
some
have to
sense.
say why you're not allowed.
That might
it's the
make
same
some
with
sense
us.
if you said,
so first
if you
of all,
hadn't
from the
said,
legal path, you
we
have
will
to
not
apply for
receive
your
even
visa.
one Muslim.
That's,
if you hadn't bragged about the fact that you don't have mosques in Poland, I mean, it sounds like you don't want them there because you're anti-Muslim and anti-Islam.
Okay, so let me go from the legal path to the society. So legally, you have to apply, and legally, you're allowed to apply, and this is up to us if we agree to have you in Poland. That's number one. Then our society, our structure. I keep repeating that in many mosques, we can hear about hijrah. For us, homogenic society, Christian society is a value. For me, multicultural society, it's not a value. I used to live in London. I used to live there for 5 years. I used to work in US, and I see the fruits of multiculturalism. For me, it's not a virtue. For me, it's not a value. So we have a right to think about our future in a way we want to. So Christian culture, Roman law, Greek philosophers, these are the virtues for us.
It's funny
That's
that you
number
mention.
one.
It's funny that you
Number
mention.
two,
Can I jump in
we
1
don't
second?
want Sharia law in Europe.
Okay.
I am the member. Let me finish.
Having Muslims in your
finish.
country doesn't mean you have Sharia law. You mentioned London. The mayor of London is a Muslim. There's no Sharia law. Let me ask you this. You mentioned London.
There's quite a bit
Some
of
would
Sharia
say
law
it's
in London.
hypocritical that you don't want Muslims in Poland because
No,
you
are
let me
having
finish my
places
question.
where the Sharia is present.
Let me finish a question. Let me finish the question. Many would say it's hypocritical that you say you don't want Muslim immigrants in your country because they commit crimes, there's a security threat, and yet you hear exactly the same rhetoric about Polish immigrants in the UK from right-wing politicians and media there. They say the Poles are groping women, they're feckless, they're criminals, they won't integrate. Don't you see the irony or the hypocrisy of treating Muslim immigrants to Poland in the same way that some Britons treat Polish immigrants?
Okay, how many Poles blow themselves up in London or any other place in the world? That's the question I keep repeating.
There is a lot of crime carried out by Polish immigrants, according to the right-wing press.
Kill themselves and others because of their religion
or hate. Dominik, your argument doesn't work. Just last month in the UK...
The question was very specific.
I'm answering your question.
How many of them blowed themselves up?
Okay. Let me answer your question in this way. A Polish immigrant was charged with the rape and murder of a British student last month. How would you feel if people in the UK started saying, we don't want Poles here anymore. We don't want rapists and murderers here. That's what you say about Muslims. You generalize about all Muslims in the same way that some on the right in the UK generalize about Poles. There's a lot of anti-Polish racism in the UK. Do you not see the irony that you're doing the same thing to Muslims as is done to Poles?
No. No. First of all, if anyone committing a crime should be jailed. It doesn't matter. Is it Polish, is it English, or anyone else? That's number one. Crimes which you mentioned are not committed in the name of Allah.
What's that got to do with
the Polish
anything?
side?
I thought
Not
we're talking
in the
about
name
security.
of Christ.
Who cares?
They are just criminals.
We're talking about
and
security threats. But why not?
That's number one.
Why not generalize? Why shouldn't British people generalize about Poles? You're generalizing about Muslims. Not all Muslims are terrorists, as you know.
But most terrorists are Muslims.
That's not true, as you know. In fact, that's not actually true. Most of the far-right terrorist attacks in the US this year were from far-right Christians.
If they committed a crime, they should be...
It's funny you say most terrorists are Muslim. This year, one of the worst terrorist attacks that we saw was in New Zealand.
Not Christians,
mostly
not believers.
One of the worst terrorist attacks this year, one of the most high profile, was the murder of more than 50 Muslims in New Zealand by a Christian far-right white supremacist.
Yeah, and he's jailed. That's it.
So what? So Muslims are jailed as well? What's your point? Should I blame all white Christians for what that man in New Zealand did?
My point is that the difference between our reaction after the New Zealand was condemnation. I do condemn that, everyone condemning it. After the terror attacks, we can hear from imams That's the reaction.
That's not
they are
true,
happy,
as you know.
and they want to kill all the
It
infidels.
is true.
So
That's
that's
a lie,
the difference
Dominik.
between
That's
a
Western
lie.
civilization.
Imams across the world did not applaud
that's a
terrorist
fact.
attacks.
You can just
Well,
Google it. Just Google it.
Okay, you can Google also the Charlie Hebdo attacks.
Okay, you say this is a lie.
It is a lie
I
to
watch
say all
television,
imams
I watch
applaud.
news.
Okay.
I can tell.
Okay, let me ask you this question.
You've got hate preachers.
There
Do you
are
know
hate
what
preachers,
this sentence
indeed.
means?
That's not all imams, though. You said all imams clapping. Let me ask you this, Dominik. After the Charlie Hebdo attacks, you had the King of Jordan.
There you go. You don't have hate preachers in the Christian churches.
That's not true either. After the Charlie Hebdo attacks, you had the King of Jordan, the Prime Minister of Turkey, the Foreign Minister of Egypt, the President of the Palestinian Authority, numerous leaders from the Muslim-majority world literally marched through the streets of Paris in solidarity with the non-Muslim victims of those attacks. I don't remember seeing you or any other member of the Polish government marching in Christchurch, New Zealand, in solidarity with the Muslim victims
this
of that attack.
solidarity.
I don't remember seeing you marching in Christchurch.
All this solidarity, candles, and all this painting on the floor, it's a joke.
But where was
we
yours?
don't need this kind
where
of
was your march? I don't remember
actions.
seeing
We
your
need to
march
take
in New Zealand.
Real action.
Dominik, I don't remember
this
seeing
kind of
you and the
behaviors.
Polish government marching in New Zealand. Answer that. Why didn't you do what Muslim leaders did
because
and
we
march
behave differently.
in Christchurch? No,
we
I'm
don't need
asking.
marches. We have our borders, which are safe.
That's got nothing to do with the question. A Christian far-right nationalist carried out an attack in New Zealand. If you're saying Muslims should condemn a Muslim attack, which they did, why didn't you go to New Zealand and condemn that attack? Why didn't you march like Muslim leaders did in Paris? Why didn't you march in Christchurch?
If you think that these Muslims, these preachers, these imams are so peaceful, let them go to Saudi Arabia, let them go to Qatar. If you want to be a refugee, you have to flee to the first safe country, neighbor country. Then you have to apply, you have to prove who you are. And now we are having people in Europe, Poland is not a neighbor of Syria, without documents or with 5 passports, the same picture and different names. That's just a fact from our interior ministers. So it's all about safety. You are trying to put the whole subject in a box of Islamophobia. Even if no believer will gonna come, or Buddhist, we will not let him in if he's illegal. That's it.
Let me go back to my question, which you avoided answering. The Christchurch shooter was an immigrant. He was a Christian. He was a white nationalist who killed Muslims. And he had on his weaponry references to a battle in which a king of Poland defeated Muslim invaders. He had the name of a Polish military commander on one of his weapons. So I ask again, why didn't you, according to your own logic, go to Christchurch and disown him? Say this has nothing to do with us, nothing to do with Poland or Christianity. That's what you expect of Muslims. Why didn't you do that in New Zealand? I ask again.
Well, thank you very much. Thank God for King Sobieski. He stopped Muslims in Vienna. Thank God
That's
for King
what the
Sobieski.
terrorists said as well, by the way.
But I'm not going to react on any idiot who is trying to use our king and beautiful history for a terror attack.
And why can't Muslims say the same? Do you not see the illogic of your position?
If not King Sobieski,
you're basically
Muslims
saying
would
what
took
every
over
Muslim
Europe.
says about
No one
Muslim terrorist attacks.
invited them. Not at all.
Okay. I got to ask the question, though, and I want to talk about the broader cultural point, because you have said in a previous interview this is about culture. This is about preserving Christian culture in Europe. I'm saying to you, white supremacists have carried out horrific terrorist attacks this year in El Paso, Texas, San Diego, California, Christchurch in New Zealand. And they have talked about stopping mosques, stopping the invasion of Muslims, protecting Christian culture. It's virtually the same language that is used by your party and by you. There is an overlap. We can see that with our eyes. It's the same rhetoric.
No, the difference is we are not shooting. If someone is a terrorist or killer or a criminal, should be jailed.
You're not shooting, but are you inciting the violence by using that rhetoric of invasions and stopping mosques?
Do not compare me to the criminal.
I'm comparing your rhetoric, not you. I'm saying the rhetoric is similar, is it not? Or are you denying that? It sounds like you're agreeing.
First of all, as I said, it's against our law. That's number one. It's against our culture. And the culture is very important. As I told you, we are a Christian country. We don't want hijra in Poland. We don't want Poland being taken over by Muslims, Buddhists, or someone else. For us, Christianity as identity, as our DNA, is very important. And our government has the right to say no. And no one will ever force us to take Muslims, Buddhists, non-believers in huge numbers. But we are helping by sending money, because our government is very straight. We have to help in a place of the conflict, in Syria, in Iraq. That's it. Do not force us to do things which our society doesn't want. That's why our government was elected. That's why we have won.
Dominik Tarczynski, thanks for joining me on Upfront.
Dominik held up his own very, very well there against this idiot Mehdi Hasan. And look, Mehdi Hasan's points are so fucking lazy. They are so lazy. It's all about brown people, white people bad, brown people good. It's always the same shit with Mehdi Hasan. It's never anything deeper. It's always just you're white, so you're racist, and I'm brown, so I'm a victim. It's always the same shit with him. And I wonder when he will realize that you're not pulling any heartstrings with the likes of Dominik. You're not pulling any heartstrings. And by the way, I think this clip was pretty old. The average poll is looking at what has been done to Europe at the behest of Muslims, at the behest of Muslim immigration. And they say, I want no fucking part of that, my friend. I do not want to be involved in your experiment of Islamic immigration to Europe. The average poll is looking at what's going on there in Europe and saying, why the hell, what, don't involve me. I want nothing to do with that. I want absolutely nothing to do with your strange Islamic experiment in Europe. And I'm sorry, folks, but I come on here every day and I expose full-blown, proud jihadists that live in Europe every single day. If you don't believe me, just go browse through my channel for a moment. You will see clip after clip talking to an Afghani military-aged male. And you know what? They never happen to be women. They never happen to be children or women that are fleeing from war. They're always like young, fit males, military-aged males who are somehow there for some reason. And they're staying at nice hotel rooms. You know, we had that one where we exposed that guy from Afghanistan who supports Hamas and supports the Taliban and was living in a hotel room funded by the British public. We caught one in Germany, a Syrian refugee who said Germany is shit. He said, fuck Germany. Military-aged male with a bunch of his Shabab friends. It's never somebody who actually needs the help or wants to be there for a reason, like economic success, wants to change their life. No, it always happens to be the same kind of character. Just some fucker who's willing to just blow themselves up or openly support terrorism because they know the kindness of the Europeans and the Christian culture. And I'm sorry to say, there is something about the Polish fabric of society. When I went to Poland, by the way, and I'm not saying that Poland is perfect and not racist. I went to Poland 3 times in my life. Nobody was ever racist to me there. Everybody was extremely friendly, extremely hospitable. Do they have reservations about who I am and what I look like behind the scenes? Do they put up a front? Maybe. Who gives a fuck? Who cares? Bro, I live in the world of reality. You know who the most racist people were to me in my travels around the world? And by the way, as an Asian, I don't hold any grudges against them, but it's Asians. I lived all over Asia. They're the most racist people on planet Earth. If there's any Asians watching this, Filipinos, Vietnamese, Chinese, Thai, you'll agree with me. They're extremely racist. They're the most racist. But it's a different kind of racism. It's a racism where they'll be outright racist to you and still bring you into their home to eat. And white people, by the way, or European people are still capable of that kind of kindness and that kind of culture. It doesn't always have to be brown good, white bad. And by the way, Mehdi, I don't know what kind of message you think it sends, but you continuously pressing on this Polish politician on TV to make a point to say, no, you need to take them in. Look what Lebanon has done. Lebanon is not a good example. All the Arab countries that have taken in refugees have not, let's say, benefited from taking in refugees. Most of them have suffered. If you ask the average Lebanese, especially the average Lebanese Christian, they will tell you that bringing in Syrians into their country was a massive fucking mistake. They do not agree with it in the slightest. So let's just get our ducks in order here for a moment and realize that I'm not the anti-diversity guy, right? Because Israel is, for all intents and purposes, a very diverse nation, extremely diverse nation. It's something I'm very proud of with Israel, that it is so diverse. But, okay, in Israel, right, if you have a Jew from Iraq and a Jew from Ethiopia and a Jew from here and a Jew from there, they all come together, they all coalesce on a shared image and a shared message, which is survival in a Jewish state, survival as Jews. Our core shared fabric is Judaism, right? Is being Israeli, is being part of the nation of Israel, the children of Israel. That's what, even though it's not perfect and there's a mess and we do yell and we can be racist to each other and make fun of each other and it's not perfect, it somehow works because there's something that binds us all together here. That's not something you can say about a Syrian living in Poland. That's a harder sell. I dropped my light. 1 second, let me pause. Oh, this didn't pause. I didn't hit the pause button. Well, all right. Sorry about that. You guys got to see me turn the light. I'm still trying to iron out the kinks. I have like this new Stream Deck board that I'm pressing buttons to try to switch things. Give me some time, right? It's a new set. Anyways, the baseline comes down to I'm not saying globalization is bad. I'm not saying diversity is bad. God knows that diversity under Israel works pretty remarkably, and it's kind of amazing how well it worked in Israel. But there needs to be a common goal. The average Syrian refugee is not going to share a lot of commonalities with the average British person, with the average Tommy Robinson or Dominik Tarczynski. You're bringing in a totally different culture, a totally different way of life, and you're not giving them an incentive to assimilate, nor a way to assimilate properly. And that is a huge mistake. And I would say even partly a betrayal on behest of the people. I've been the tall, the traveling clat, your sweet Zionist prince. If you want to be a sweet Zionist prince or princess like me, get the shirt down below in the description. I'll see you in the next one. I'll love you a long time.
Has this ever happened to you? Hey, are you a Zionist? What is this hesitation? You think Judah the Maccabee was hesitating when he's fighting for Israel? Here, take this. You think Queen Esther hesitated before stopping Haman from ending the Jews of Persia? Well, hey Habibi, you think Herzl thought he was a white colonizer as he Zionized the Jews of Europa? Listen, kid, I don't care if you're a Muslim, a Jew, or a Christian. You're a Zionist, right? Yeah. Well, a good Zionist goes to thetravelingclad.com and buys some provocative merchandise. They do? Absolutely, a bitch. I have some incredible designs for you, Yeled. They say everything promised to you 3,000 years ago. Here, take a shirt with a matching hat. For you, good price. They say they kick you from 109 countries. Here, join the 109 club. Take shirt and matching hat. For you, good price. Habibi, you want to Zionize? Here, take shirt, matching hat. You like Kuba Selek shel Safta? Here, take shirt, matching hat. Take sticker, take hoodie. Take, good price, take, good price, take, good price, take, good price, take. Yossi, achi, he understand you, stop! A good Zionist goes to thetravelingclad.com and buys merch. Yalla, Habibi, for you, good price.
If you don't want to buy any merchandise, the best way to support me is by donating on Buy Me a Coffee, my PayPal, or becoming a member on my Patreon. Your support is very much needed and very much appreciated. Thank you.